delegates of the conference, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm thankful to the conference organizing team for inviting me to join these great events. A big congratulations to the team for successfully organizing this conference. Today, I'm delighted to share my experience with regards to research in accounting and finance. In line with the theme of this conference, A World of Opportunities, I would like to explore some opportunities that we can easily grasp by leveraging big data to maximize research output in accounting and finance. Okay, in Chinese, opportunity is always paired with risk. In other words, risk is accompanied by opportunity. This means in order to grasp opportunity, we must learn how to identify risk. Risk arises when there is uncertainty, and this is frequently caused by changes in the environment. As researchers, we must be sensitive to changes that open up new research opportunities to us. For instance, the massive lockdown during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic has brought unexpected changes to both social and economic activities. A lot of things suddenly change and become highly uncertain. Business activities were highly disrupted. Our daily life is no longer the same as usual. The pandemic has obviously turned into a major global crisis as well as critical local issues. As a result of that, issues related to pandemic has captured vast interest among researchers from different disciplines, and research work related to the impact of pandemic and other COVID-19 issue is mushrooming. So from this scenario, we can see how changes create opportunities for new research. Right. Okay. Now, changes have also made a topic remain relevant, although it may be an old issue. Now, I have listed some of the common and popular topics that are very well researched in accounting and finance. This includes research on firm performance, capital structure, dividend policy, corporate social responsibility, earnings management, corporate governance, and many more. And we noted that even though there is a huge and established, well-documented literature from prior research, these issues are still attracting continuing interest among researchers. So, what makes this old issue still remain relevant today? Now, one of the main factors is because different contextual environment often offer unique characteristics that warrant researchers to examine some old topics or issues from a different perspective. Very frequently, my new PhD students will like to ask me the same question. Doctor, do you think I can conduct research on CSR and firm performance? Can I study on corporate governance and earnings management? Well, before we answer this question, we need to be well versed with the unique characteristic in respect of the contextual environment of our research. So, what are the different or unique characteristics in the contextual environment that may offer new insights from a different perspective to enhance the literature? Now, this characteristic could be related to competitive advantage of an entity or from the unique or specific corporate governance mechanism imposed by the entity or due to policy change, resources or culture, technologies issues. So, different contextual environments will offer new angle, new perspective to look into an old research topic. For example, let's take ownership structure in developing country. Okay. Now, when we talk about ownership structure from agency theory perspective, the ownership structures in developing country is more concerned about type 2 agency problem, which is conflict between major shareholders and minority shareholders for developing country, as compared to type 1 agency problem in the Western country, where the conflicts are more critical among the shareholders and the managers. And then for the same ownership structure issue, if we apply the lens of stakeholder theories, we will be more concerned about the interplay between different forces arise from the ownership. Okay, so we will see which stakeholders will have greater influence as compared to other groups of stakeholders. So then let's look at institutional theory. If we apply the perspective from institutional theory, when we analyze ownership structures, we will be more interested about the various pressure imposed from a different group. So these contextual environments and the theoretical lens we apply will give new perspective to look into same issue. Okay, so as researchers, we must be observant and be able to identify unique characteristics so that we are well prepared and be able to react fast enough to capture new research opportunities in our areas of interest. Okay, and this new research opportunities is related to the changes in the contextual environment from time to time. From the perspective of accounting and finance, I would like to draw attention on a few areas that may offer great opportunities to maximize our research outputs with the availability of big data. Now, the big data I'm referring in my sharing here is about data which are available in the established databases. Now, using big data gives us some advantages. For example, by using big data, we are able to conduct multiple country study, which will enhance our opportunity for publication. I think some of us may have this experience. When you send your paper to a journal, the first questions that the reviewer asks you is, why you study on a single country? Why only Malaysia? Why only Indonesia? Okay, and in many instances, you have to make strong justifications on why Malaysia is so unique. Okay, and then the main concern the reviewer asks is, can you generalize your research finding? This is especially a main concern if we are doing quantitative study. Okay, and by using big data, we also can make use of more powerful statistical analysis. Okay, this is also an increasing demand for some journal. Okay, some of the journal really ask a lot of questions about the robustness of your test. Okay, by using a bigger set of data, we can enjoy these benefits. So many years ago, decades ago, only researchers from developed countries in the West have the privilege to use big data from the established databases. Researchers from developing countries, in most instances, have to handpick the data we need from many different types of sources. I think those of us who did our PhD many years ago will have this kinds of experience. It is a very painful and time-consuming process, and this really slowed down our research progress. Like one of my PhD students, he has to spend 1.5 years just to collect the data he needs. My slide is not moving. Okay. Not sure what happened. I'm so sorry because okay. All right. Now, today, most researchers have some experience in using data from established databases. This has allowed many researchers in emerging economies, as well as developing countries, to increase their research productivity and effectiveness in conducting research by drawing on a big set of data. In this vein, I would like to discuss a strategy that can maximize our research output by using quantitative research approach. Ladies and gentlemen, as academics and researchers, research output has become an important criteria to allow us to remain relevant in our field of study. For those of us engaging in quantitative research, one of the most common research models in particular for postgraduate PhD students is to conduct causal relationships tests using multiple regressions model. Okay, let me wait for my slide. Not happen. Okay, my slide seems not moving. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm not sure what is the problem. I'll move to my next slide. Okay, sorry. All right. Now, what I'm showing here is a typical research model, okay, for quantitative study, where we try to establish the relationship between the dependent variables, and after identifying our dependent variable, which is the main research problem. Our problem statement arises from this dependent variable, and from there, we try to identify the explanatory variables for this dependent variable. So we have produced a list of this independent variable. So this is a typical causal relationship model, a baseline model which tests direct relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. In such a direct model, we are only able to identify factors that contribute to the changes in the DV, which is the dependent variable. When data are drawn from databases, okay, these types of research model would capture less interest among journal reviewers, as this kinds of simple model is normally already well tested by other studies. Okay, so it is quite challenging to justify the new contribution from this kinds of direct model. Now, in accounting and finance, some researchers have excuse me, noted the power, okay, to multiple their research efforts by leveraging on analysis on moderating and mediating effect. And this can do a magic to our research output. Okay, so in accounting and finance, moderating and mediating effect is more commonly known as interacting effect. Okay, moderating and mediating effect is widely used in management study. Okay, but this has become more and more widely adopted by researchers in accounting and finance. So a moderating variable, as depicted in this diagram, suggests that the relationship between the dependent variables and independent variable can be strengthened or weakened due to the presence of a third factor, which is known as moderating variable. Now, many students tend to be confused between moderating and mediating. A moderating effect basically changes the relationship. A moderating variable normally do not have a direct relationship with the independent variable. It is a factor which is not will not be changed by the independent variable. So let's take a simple example. Firm performance as the dependent variable, and then ownership structure as the independent variable. Okay, so we can test ownership structure and firm performance by applying type 2 agency conflict. So we use the lens of agency theory to test this type 2 conflict between ownership structure and firm performance, especially when we use family ownership. Okay, this can be a good proxy to test type 2 agency problem. And we want to look at the effect of corporate governance. So we can test independent directors. We can test other corporate governance mechanism. And this is how we can increase our productivity and also the output of our research, because by testing different set of moderating variable, you can produce different paper. So this will be a very useful strategies for students and even academics to increase their publication by applying lens from different theory. For the moderator, we can always apply different theory. For example, we can use resource-based view, okay, to introduce multiple directors as a moderator. Okay, so this, by applying this kind of model, it is not only increase our publications ability, it also will offer insights to explain why the ownership structure has a positive relationship with firm performance, okay, with the presence of this moderator. So moderating variable will be one of the important and helpful this approach to increase your or to strengthen your research framework. The other model is applying this mediating to test the mediating effect. Now, mediating effect is different from moderating because the independent variable will actually have an impact on the mediating variable. And then the mediating variable will influence the dependent variable. So let's look at this example here. Okay, I have conducted this study previously by using financial derivative. Okay, so I test how the use of financial derivative influence earnings management. And this is done through its impact on earnings volatility. So our argument in this paper is that when company use financial derivative to manage their risk, the gain or losses that they encounter from using financial derivative affect earnings volatility. Okay, so when earnings volatilities fluctuate, this have an impact on the intention, on the earnings management practice. So here, the test will be slightly different from moderating, because when we test mediating, we have to test the relationship. We have to prove that there is a significant relationship between the IB, which is financial derivative, and earnings volatility, which is the mediating variable. And then we need to test the second model, which is earnings volatility and earnings management. Then finally, we have to test earnings derivative and earnings volatility as independent variable against earnings management as the dependent variable. Okay, so in the latest models by the statistical tests by preachers, we are not required to test the direct relationship between financial derivative and earnings management. Okay, but we need to test financial derivative with earnings volatility, and then another test on earnings volatility on earnings management. And finally, the third model is financial derivative plus earning volatility against earnings management. Okay, so when we introduce this third variable, either as moderating or mediating, this allows us to maximize our research output. If we have big set of data, okay, we can substitute, okay, and we can test on different kinds of factors. Like corporate governance, we will have many corporate governance factors such as gender diversity, multiple directorship, busyness of directors. Okay, then about the CEO experience or CEO characteristic. So by testing this variable using different theoretical lens, that will allow us to increase our research output. And at the same time, by using bigger data, we will also have these opportunities to do multiple country studies. Okay.
I'm sorry, Dr. Phua?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have 5 minutes left.
Yeah, okay, I'm concluding. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. Okay,
yeah,
so
thank you.
To conclude my sharing, I would like to highlight a few of these emerging issues that has captured interest among researchers in accounting and finance. This include ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance issue. And for this topic, there are some databases that has been used by researchers from a different country. okay, to test the impact of ESG, either as IV or DV. Other emerging topics are such as innovative performance, digitalizations, and issue related to COVID pandemic. So with that, I would like to thank the conference for this opportunity to share my thoughts about this research in accounting and finance. And I wish everyone have a very fruitful conference. Thank you for your attention.